Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, the Miami Dolphins made a trade. The Dolphins have traded up with the New York Giants, and it looks like we know who the Dolphins are taking here. The pick is in. Let's go ahead and break that news right now, folks. Here we go. With the 50th pick in the draft, the Miami Dolphins have selected Liam Eichenberg, offensive tackle from the University of Notre Dame. So the Dolphins, after I think in the eyes of many of us kind of muffing the pick at 36 and going with the safety, have gone offensive tackle Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Brain, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they clearly like this guy. I don't know that they had to trade up to get him. And again, I feel like the interior of the offensive line is more important than the tackle position. And if you're gonna get a tackle, I don't know that. But look, if they wanted to get tackle, they got their guy, the guy that they obviously loved enough to trade up to get. But it's a little bit of a head scratcher that they traded up to get this guy. So,
and we're still.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to find out what we gave up. I'm going to assume it's not terrible. A whole lot. But we'll see exactly what we gave up to move up. Did we? We didn't have a 4. So, was it a future 4? Was it a 5? We'll see what we gave up.
I'm looking as we're talking about Liam Eichenberg here. I am looking for the terms of the trade here. Let's see. Here we go. The Dolphins. Let's see. We traded pick 50 and a 2022 third. So the Dolphins now making this pick. So that's here the is it?
So essentially, the third that we got from the trade back or with San Francisco.
2022 third would be the pick from San Francisco. Is what I believe that pick is, and we'll try to confirm that here. But it looks like that's what the Dolphins have traded. They traded pick number 50, and they also traded a 2022 third round pick. Believe that is the pick that they got from San Francisco in the trade down to 12. So the Dolphins have moved up. They've gotten their guy. They got an offensive tackle. So they've now bolstered the offensive line. Was this the guy that was on everybody's radar? I don't know that he was one of the top guys, but clearly this is a guy the Dolphins had valued because they made the move. They made an effort. The first time in this draft that they've made second time that they've made a trade up in the order to get somebody. And so this must have been part of their agenda all along, was they must have wanted to get Javon Holland at 36. They trade up to 42. They get Liam Eichenberg, the Notre Dame offensive tackle, and now they've bolstered the offensive line. And at this point, I think they're still looking probably to grab a linebacker at some point. But from here, now you're really looking at depth pieces and guys to compete on the roster spot. I think at this point, you're done looking at absolute starters unless somehow, some way, Michael Carter drops all the way to 80, which I'm not incredible.
Michael Carter is whatever. Like, I don't even know that Michael Carter would be an upgrade over Malcolm Brown. I don't know that any running back that they take here, if they were to take a running back at, let's say, 81, whether it's Trey Sermon, whether it's Lamondre Stevens, or whether it's Michael Carter, I don't know that any of those guys are an upgrade over what we already have on the roster at running back. And that's kind of the problem. That's why it was important to address the position. And the bigger problem that I see is that the interior of the Dolphins' offensive line was bad. And center is kind of the crux of it all. And now we don't have another pick until 81. Will Quinn Miners be there at 81? Maybe. You can basically guarantee Creed Humphrey will not be there at 81. So it's like we've punted that position for tackle, which is a position that we've really kind of addressed. Now, the thing that bears noting about going tackle here is that this should absolutely, and the fact that they traded up to get a tackle, should absolutely cement the idea that Robert Hunt is moving inside to guard. We now have 4 tackles on the roster that we've, invested in a fairly large way. I mean, we used a first round pick on Austin Jackson. We traded up and used a second round pick on Eichenberg now. We didn't invest a whole lot in DJ Fluker as a very small 1-year deal to bring him in, but it's a guy that we brought in to play right tackle. And then we also have Jesse Davis who's under contract. So this should really cement that the move is moving Robert Hunt inside to guard, so that you should feel good about having Kindley at one guard spot and Hunt at the other guard spot. Problem is, who's going to play in between them at center? And I just think they blew an opportunity to get a really good center, and I think it's important. And I think considering what they already have at tackle, Eichenberg better be a damn good player for them to trade up to get him here, because I think there's a lot of opportunity cost, a lot of players that they could have, a lot of different ways that they could have gone instead of tackle, and to trade up to do it. The guy better be a damn good tackle for, and he better be damn good and either get a second contract with the Dolphins or get a really good trade value, if we catch like a Bill O'Brien out there.
Yeah. Well, the Dolphins, I think the word on the street is that this is that Eichenberg may kick inside and play guard here for the Dolphins. And so that
can he play center?
Well, he maybe possibility, but listen, we bolstered the offensive line. It's not the pick that a lot of people were expecting, but again, it's a pick that the Dolphins clearly see something in this player and have belief in him and rate him highly. So it's one of those moves that while we're all scratching our heads right now, when training camp comes along and when the season comes along, we've got to look at how this plays out, because Dolphins are going to have a lot of young men on that offensive line. And again, we don't know that they're done yet. We don't know that they're not going to take a center at some point later in this draft. Won't be one of the top centers in this draft, but they're probably still going to draft one, I would think.
I don't know. It depends what's there. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they draft a center and it doesn't pan out because that's what happens when you take a center in the 3rd or the 4th round. It doesn't always pan out. That's why, when you take a guy in the top tier at their position, that's why you do it, because it's going to pan out. The thing is, you could bend over backwards to justify the pick, and we could say this literally every single year about every single pick for every single team. You could say, well, this is what they were thinking. They obviously loved their guy. They got their guy. And so we'll wait and see how this is going to play out. That's what the draft is. You're always going to wait and see how it plays out. None of us really know how it's going to play out. We just, we have an opinion. And the fact is that, if we just sat here and we said, well, let's see how it's going to play out, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, if they were always right, then I would say, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not one of these guys that's going to sit here and tell you how amazing Chris Grier has been at evaluating talent. Because look, all you have to do is look at the last 2 draft classes, and I know it's early, things can change, the players have to develop, and look at last year's free agency class to know that there are major warts there. There are major question marks about Chris Greer's ability to evaluate talent. Can the guy move up and down the draft board? Can he acquire picks? Sure. He's great at that. Can he manipulate the cap? Can he, sign guys to contracts that are structured wisely? Sure. But at the end of the day, can you evaluate talent? Because I look at last year's free agent class and I look at Jordan Howard, not on the team. I look at Eric Flowers, not on the team. Kyle Van Noy, not on the team. Who else? Shaq Lawson, not on the team. And then I look at last year's draft class and I look at the 3 first-round picks and we say, at tackle, clearly we're not sold on the tackle position after drafting a tackle at number 18 last year. We all know we have questions about Noah Igbenogany at number 31. And as much as I love Tua, and I believe Tua is going to be great, we're fooling ourselves if we think that's a sure thing either. There is a better than decent chance that we didn't hit on any of our 3 first-round picks last year. And so I'm not going to sit here and give Chris Grier the benefit of the doubt when he makes a questionable move in the draft.
I think that's I think that those are all fair things to say, but I think you also have to look at the big picture here, which is that 2 seasons ago, this team won 5 games, and last year they won 10 games and barely missed the playoffs. They became one of the first teams. They became one of the first. And so you can't sit here and say, well, all these were bad free agent signings and these were bad draft picks because they won 10 games. They were almost in the playoffs. Those free agents that, yes, they might not be on the team now, but they were brought in and they helped the team win 10 games last year.
Are we back in this spot? Are we literally this? This is the same old Dolphins show. Are we literally in the spot where we're celebrating almost being in the playoffs? Are you freaking serious?
Of course not.
We almost went. Okay, we were 1-15 and we made the playoffs the next year. How'd that pan out? We were 6-10 and then we made the playoffs under Adam Gase. How'd that pan out? One playoff run or one surprising year does not a dynasty make. And
no,
I'm
not giving. Not.
And look, we got ourselves a very good football coach. And I'm very happy about the football coach that we have. And I have a lot of faith that we're going to get the most out of the talent that we have. But there are major question marks about Chris Grier's talent evaluation. You're not going to sit here and tell me that when Chris Grier signed all of those guys last season, his plan was, well, these guys are all be gone next year. We'll just eat some dead cap space. Because if he does that again and that becomes a trend, we'll be right back where we were under Chris Spielman, under Jeff Ireland, under whoever you want to put out there as a fledgling Dolphins general manager. And Chris Grier has not done anything to distinguish himself above those other than trade Laramie Tunsil to the biggest stooge in the room. Because if it wasn't for Bill O'Brien, right now, nobody would be talking about how great a job Chris Grier is doing.
Well, I listen, the Dolphins brought those players in last year, and those players were part of allowing this team to make the jump that they made from 2019 to 2020, right? Listen, the Dolphins you have to overspend to bring players in when you're a team that's just won 5 games. You're not an attractive place to play football for free agents, right? You're a team that is in complete rebuild mode, a veteran player who knows that this team is not going to be competing for a championship right away and that they're going to be part of a rebuild. You want to bring those players in, you're going to need to pay them more money to do it. You're going to have to do it. And you needed to fill those positions with somebody, so the Dolphins did it. Now, with Kyle Van Noy, I'm not going to get into it now, but we know that there were some things going on behind the scenes that contributed to the fact that he's no longer on the team. It wasn't purely a contract thing. It wasn't purely a performance thing. There was a lot more to that. That's not a conversation for here right now. With the Flowers thing, yes, admittedly, that was a big contract, and the Dolphins needed to move off of that contract, and they've done that. They had to eat a little bit of it. It wasn't the greatest contract, but again, they needed to spend that money to bring people in, and they needed to spend that money to bring Flowers in so that they had somebody in that position. They needed to do it. It happened. and the Dolphins took huge steps forward. I think at this point, yes, these are questionable picks at 36. I don't dislike the pick at 42. I think it's great. The Dolphins needed to bolster the offensive line, and they've done that. They didn't get a center. That's kind of concerning, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to get a center, right? And don't forget that without the fact that last year Skura had a bad year, before, if the Dolphins had signed him 1 year earlier, it would have been touted as the Dolphins have signed one of the best free agent centers available. So,
but it's a 1 year deal. It's a 1 year deal.
Right, it's a 1 year deal.
What, are we going to do this Band-Aid thing every year at the center position when you've got a chance to take a guy who could hold down that position for a decade? Now we have to worry about this position every year, and now we're sitting here saying, well, if we would have drafted this guy 1 year ago, then it would or signed this guy 1 year ago would have been lauded as a great move. Well, what if what he did last year is what we got this year? Now we have a major problem in the interior of our offensive line in a year where the whole point of this year is supposed to be the offense takes a huge jump. Tua takes a huge jump. If the center position sucks, if we have a major hole at the center position, watch what happens if Tua doesn't perform up to expectations. We're going to be sitting here, and there's going to be a million people that are saying, well, they don't have a center. They should have addressed the center position. Can't really grade him. Incomplete grade. No, you should have just done it. Should have just addressed it, given them everything that they need, and then you could find a safety every year. Every year. We're not this idea that, oh, well, the safety can all of a sudden bring our defense, which was, the second best scoring defense in the league last year, and this is going to bring it to a whole new elite status this year. We're not playing for 1 year. We're playing the whole idea is that we're trying to build something for the future to be a sustainable winner, and we're ignoring major glaring holes. And the tackle, he might be a really good pick. And we may still get a center that pans out. That may be the case. But I think to trade up for this guy, to give up a third, to pick up this tackle, you essentially are saying that this tackle that you just drafted is worth not just the number 42 pick, but a third rounder next year. That's a lot to give up. This guy better be damn good. This guy better be the best tackle. He's got to be the starting right tackle, right? This guy's got to be the blind side protector for Tua Tagovailoa this year. And in which case, I don't know, like why'd you bring in DJ Fluker? Does that maybe Jesse Davis is out? I don't know, but I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it. I think we've ignored some major opportunities to pick top tier players at positions of need, who would not have been reaches, by the way. Right. It's not like I'm talking about, oh, this is a terrible center class and this is the best center on the board by default because he's got like a third round grade, but everybody else has a fourth round grade. Those centers, Landon Dickerson went the next pick. Those centers had borderline first round grades. And they passed on him twice.
Well, yeah. And, it's the fact is the players that they drafted are very highly regarded. And they are, whether they are the exact positions that we believe needed to be filled, they are positions that needed to be filled. And we found top quality talent to fill those positions. And listen, the Dolphins still, how many picks do they have left? They have one more pick left tonight at 81. And then obviously it's a huge wait before they have their picks sort of in the back end of the draft. And, those are just pure lottery shots at that point. But the fact of the matter is they are filling positions of need here. It's not like they drafted a punter. It's not like they drafted another quarterback, right? So, hey, listen, maybe they probably
could have given up less because they would have only been moving up a couple of spots. They probably could have given up next year's 4 to move up to get Jacksonville's spot and grab the running back. I think they probably just clearly didn't want to do that. But
listen, I'm going to say this, and because I think it's important to say, I think running back is probably the most overrated and overvalued position in the entire draft. I think, and in the entire NFL. If you look at it, if you really look at it, it is, yes, those players can make big impacts from time to time, but ultimately in today's NFL in 2021, running back is not the big important position. This is a passing league now. It's all about quarterbacks and receivers and moving the ball down the field, that sort of vertical game. Yes, having a running attack is helpful, but I mean, look at the last, handful of Super Bowl winners. Who were those teams with elite running backs? Who are with elite top 5 running backs? Like, I mean, top 5 rushing attacks in league. They're few and far between. So listen, we got to wrap this segment here because the brain has to jump off here, but we will be back later tonight with pick number 81, or if the Dolphins decide to make another move, maybe we'll be back a little bit earlier than that. But again, make sure you are following us on Twitter at Amplified to Rock, at Aaron the Brain, at Same Old Dolphins. Like and subscribe on YouTube. So smash the like button on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube, the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, because that way you can make sure that you are alerted whenever we go live. And also make sure that you like and follow the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page as well. Follow at Dolphins Talk on Twitter, because those are all places where you can find us when we go live. And we will go live again at a moment's notice, just like we ended up doing this time, if the Dolphins make a sudden move. In the meantime, the Dolphins have made not the 50th pick is what our crawl says, but with the 44th pick in the draft, the Dolphins selected Liam Eichenberg, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame, to go along with their pick of safety Javon Holland from earlier this evening. All right, everybody, we'll be back in a little bit. In the meantime, take care, refill your glasses, and whether you like the pick or you dislike the pick, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're always going to say the same thing. Go Dolphins!